be able to build an equation for a graph that is exponential. And off to the side here, you can see I have a graph, and the kinds of graphs that are exponential are going to look like this. It's kind of like, only half the graph is included, and it's kind of a curved graph. And in order to do that, we have to know what the basic equation is going to look like. It's going to be y equals a times b to the x power, where a is always our y-intercept, and b is going to be a common ratio. Kind of like when we did our geometric sequences, we had a common ratio that was raised to some power. In order to be able to build this function, we need to have a few common points on our graph. The first one is going to be the y-intercept, and in this graph, the y-intercept is 0, 1. So that tells me that my a value is going to be a 1. And a second point on this graph that we need is the point 2, 4. We're going to use that point temporarily, and we're going to be plugging values into our equation. Y is going to be 4, and x is going to be 2. And we're going to use those three values, a is 1, y is 4, and x is 2, to help us find the b value for our common ratio. And we're going to do that by substituting these numbers in. So y is 4, a is a 1. I don't know b yet, that's what I'm trying to find, and b is 2. So 4 equals b squared. I can find out what b is if I take the square root of both sides. So b is 2. And because this graph is rising from left to right, I know that this is an example of exponential growth. So I want my common ratio to be a positive value. If I had been decreasing from left to right, so if my graph had been doing like this kind of thing, I know that that would be an example of exponential decay. So my b value would need to be a negative number. So now that I've got my two values, my a and my b, I can finish building my equation for my rule. Y equals a, which is 1, times b, which is 2 to the x power, or 2 to the x power. I don't have to have that 1 out in front if I don't want to. Let's see if I can make another graph here. So in this graph, and I'm going to go by 1s along here, so I'm not going to number it. If I'm going by anything different, I usually don't. I usually number, but if I'm going to go by 1s, I won't number. Okay, so just a basic graph. And this time I'm going to use what I have. My y-intercept is at 0, 10. So a is going to be 10. And y is another point that I want to use is going to be the point 130. So my y is going to be 30 and my x is going to be a 1. So when I plug 30 in for y, a is 10, b I don't know, and it's going to be the first power. So 30 equals 10 times b. Divide both sides by 10. B to the first power is just b. And that's going to give me b value of 3. So y equals 10 times 3 to the x power, where my y-intercept is 10, my common ratio is a 3.